Hi guys, this is Mike from the last Corvette. So you can follow me on Instagram now, and the Instagram is last Corvette. So I posted a few pictures earlier in the week. So as you can see, here's a C6. This is the driver's side headlight, which is that's still untouched. Here's the wheel. Here is the passenger side missing a headlight. So, as you can see, it is very true. You don't need to take your fender off completely or take your bumper off completely. You do obviously need to take care of your paint. And as you can see, I have a rag here. I kind of put everything back together for now, since it's going to take a few days for me to put the first headlight together, which we'll see here in a bit. So just to quickly touch on things, obviously you got to jack up the vehicle. You got to remove your inner wheel well, and in the front it's actually a three-piece. So you got 1, 2 that it just gives you access to the headlight, and then the rest of it. So excuse me. And what you do is, the reason you want to get the inner wheel well, first of all, you want to remove your wheel. There's some guys out there that say you just turn your wheel all the way to the left or to the right, depending on which headlight. Yes, you can do that, but this vehicle sits so freaking low that without taking the wheel off, I mean, it becomes a pain in the butt. And trust me, you don't want to deal with that, especially taking this guy off. So once you remove, and this is all push pins or push clips, you take them out. You definitely want to get yourself a nice, I shouldn't say nice, just a decent set of trim tools. You can get them at Harbor Freight if you want to be on the cheap side, or you can get it at Sears or whatever. Actually, Sears, I don't think it exists anymore, but you get the point. Just get yourself a set. That way you can pull them out, push them out, and work your trim, regardless if it's a inner wheel well or a dash or a side panel, without breaking stuff. Because I used to be really good at breaking stuff until I actually figured out that you got to invest into the proper tools. All right, so moving forward, you got right there. You got 1, 2. These are all 10 mils. So what you got to do is you got to remove 1, 2. Right there. So this one and this one, and what that does is it will loosen up your bumper, and then you got to remove this guy, which is your fender. And then if you look inside where that rag is sticking out, that cavity right there will have 3 10 mils wood washers that hold the headlight in place. Before you do all that, is you want to remove all your torque screws, and these are T15s here, all the way down the fender. Remove this guy, which this is your, this will be like your header panel. So you're gonna remove this T15, and then once you lift on it, you will see there's another T15 screw in here, the last screw that holds the fender in place. Then you're gonna remove these are, if I can remember correctly, they're either, God, 10 mil, I want to say. No, they can't be 10. They might be 10 mil. I'm sorry, but you got to remove 4 screws, and that is the front of the bumper. And then you do the same thing on the driver's side. Obviously, you got to remove all the Torx screws. And the reason you want to do that is because to get the headlight out, what you're going to do is you're going to pull the bumper out this way, and then you're going to lift on the fender. And you're actually going to lift on the fender this way and out, and then your bumper is going to be pushed out, and then we'll give you enough room to pull the headlight out. And as you can see right here, 1, 2, 3, this is where actually your headlight mounts. So you got big fender washers that go from the inside here that draw the headlight into your main support. So obviously I'm going to clean all this out when I'm done with the, this would be a passenger side headlight. So as you can see, what I did here is, here's the harness, number 1,
And here is the daytime running bulb number 2. So you can, as you can see right here, you can unplug that harness there, but it has that really cool GM safety clip, which is always a pain and you know what to remove to actually unplug it. So you can just remove high beam and then you daytime running light / turn signal bulb out, and the whole headlight will come out. There is a little metal clip, and I'll show you where that goes, but it's a lot easier than removing the whole harness. Trust me, especially if you're working by yourself and you get to the point where you get the headlight out and it's kind of dangling there, and then you obviously want to not scratch your vehicle at the same time. So looking at it, but anyway, so obviously I kind of put it together, lined everything up so it just it doesn't dangle there. But yeah, you're gonna, once you loosen everything up, so you got all the screws here, you got your screws here on the front lip, 10 millimeters here, 3 of them, 1 for the fender, 2 for the bumper. Loosen up your headlight, 10 mils there as well. And then you're gonna, like I said, you're gonna lift the fender out, up and away, and then to the right, and then you're gonna pull on your bumper out, and it's gonna give you just enough room to actually get in there and lift the headlight out, and then you can disconnect the 2 wires there, and that's it. And then I just left this. So this piece actually goes like this. This piece goes under the front lip. As you can see, I just snapped this one in, but so I just have a rag for now holding it in place, so we don't scratch it, but it actually lifts over. It's part of the fender, but it lifts, I should say, over the front bumper when you lift the headlight out. And then when you put the headlight back in, what you're gonna do is you're gonna lift up on the fender, lift up on the front clip, and then slide it under. So once again, just take your time, follow all the steps. I mean, this here is a very basic step you're gonna read everywhere else, online, websites, YouTube. You got to remove all the screws that hold the fender on, just on the top, not anything in the door jamb or under, and then remove the 2 from the bumper. And obviously there's 1 more for the fender that I showed you guys, 3 for the headlight, and then you kind of separate everything and remove the headlight. So that's that. Let me show you the headlight itself. And like I said, if you guys go to my Instagram account, which is the last Corvette, which is spelled last Corvette. So there's no just the last Corvette. So here's the inner housing of the passenger side headlight that I already took apart. Did a little bit of cleaning. I'm still going to clean everything up nice and pretty, where I'm going to get rid of all the dust. As you can see, this is the inner bezel. Looking inside, you have your turn signal / daytime running light, high beam, intensity. Well, high beam. Low beam, high intensity discharge, HID, right? So high intensity discharge bulb, and then you got your high beam halogen right there. This is your ballast. You got all your connections here. One of the things that I think only one of the step-by-steps that I read. So this is the main housing. This is your inner bezel. Before you proceed, so you take this out as a whole, right? So you got entire headlight assembly. You got 1, 2, 3 screws, and you want to take those out from, it would be from the inside of the headlight. So when you get it, flip it over, when you get it out, and take those out. And what that does, it actually, this here holds the inner trim or the bezel in place. And a lot of people are super worried about, you know, like breaking these tabs off. These 1, 2, 3, 4, there's like, I think there's 6. Let's see. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so you got 4. So these, the top 4, these connect to the actual plastic lens. These guys, 1, 2,
3. So if you look at it, the orientation, so you guys can tell. So 1 right by my index finger, 1, 2, 3, 4. These guys connect to your clear lens, and the ones 1, 2, 3 on the bottom connect to the headlight. So it's very important that before you even start your pulling or your baking, you remove the 3 screws, okay? Very important. So you're gonna remove the 3 screws and so you don't crack or break anything. So this is what I did. I took the headlight out. I took the high beam bulb, which is the halogen bulb, out. I took the daytime running light / turn signal fluorescent bulb out. And I took, there's a dust cap that goes on the back. I took that out. I took the 3 screws out, and that was it. Don't worry about anything. This is what worked for me. 235. I have electric in the garage. 235, preheat to 235. Mind you, wintertime in Michigan, so as soon as you open the main door, you're gonna lose 20, 30 degrees just like that. So this is what I did. Most instructions, unless it's summertime, most instructions tell you to preheat to 235, shut it off, and shove it in there. Well, if you follow those instructions, it's gonna take you all day to get anywhere. So this is what I did. 235, preheat, it clicks, it's ready. You do want to take a cookie sheet, and you do want to put it on the bottom as close to basically the element as possible if it's electric. So you're going to take this assembly without the 3 screws and put it into the oven. And what I did, you can invest, and I've had this for many, many years, you can invest into an infrared heat gun. Right now it's 33 degrees. What you're gonna do is you're gonna put this baby in, so preheat to 235. Once it's at 235, headlight on a cookie sheet, you're gonna slide it in onto the bottom rack, and you're probably gonna go about 10 to 15 minutes. And then with maybe probably first 5 to 8 minutes, you're gonna shoot it, and you're gonna see what the temperature, the actual core temperature is. You wanna get it up to about 190 to 200. Trust me, you're not gonna melt anything. I just did this. You're not going to melt anything. And I've done other headlights. I've separated other headlights. This is obviously a little bit more, I should say complicated, but more delicate than others. But you're not going to melt anything. So once you get up to 190, 200, take it out. And you always want to start in all the tight points. So on this bottom radius, you want to take a screwdriver, a metal screwdriver, and I like I said before in the video, you use a trim tool. Once you start to separate, shove a trim tool in there to kind of keep that gap open, and try to work a couple of spots and just kind of work. And you'll see the clear lens start to separate from the epoxy. Once you get some separation in this area here, you're going to take everything out because you already broke the seal in this area, and you're going to put it back in with the oven running at 235. You're going to put it back in and get it up to 195, 200. Now, the second time you're going to get it out, you're going to be able to separate it even further. Once you get it up to this point here, you can actually grab it with your fingers and start pulling on it. And for me, it came apart pretty easy. I was able to separate it using both hands. You can also do it a third time. Just don't go over 200 degrees. So once you get it to a certain point and it stops, you can put it back in. And on the third try, it will separate. So from experience of doing this years and years ago, you will never see it when it's all put back together, but you will have some screwdriver marks, some tool marks, as you can see on the inner housing. That's perfectly normal. This is all going to be sealed and covered by the lens. You're prying at first. You're trying to get that first separation. So you're going to see those marks, and you can always sand them down with some Scotch-Brite or with some sandpaper if you're really anal about it. You're also, these tabs here, you can see these tabs, they overlap the clear outer housing, and they will crack like this. You can save the pieces and super glue them. Trust me, these are just for centering when they assemble them.
for centering and setting your OEM, where actually it would be a supplier assembling your headlights. These tabs do nothing as far as pulling or drawing the headlight lens in to set into the epoxy. What you're going to do is when you actually reinstall the aftermarket kit, you're going to have to put pressure on it. So you can put a towel over it, put a sandbag over it for 24 hours to 12 hours, or you can use clamps. So these, don't worry if you break some of these snap-in clips. They do nothing. I got this piece here, so I'm going to glue it back in. This is just for you and me, because once this headlight is in, you will never know that this tab is broken, and that's going to be it. So the one thing that I have left on this headlight is I do have to remove all this epoxy, and I will share with you in a different video what epoxy I bought to reglue the new headlight lens. So, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a heat gun, and I'm just going to work my way and remove as much of it as possible with a flathead screwdriver, a pick. One of the things that I used to do, and I'm going to show you guys, so being this is a black car, so it has a black inner trim. This here is a reflector for your turn signal / daytime running light. Especially on older vehicles, it's super easy to remove the chrome finish, and that's what I did. As you can see, this is black now, and I believe it's going to look really cool. It looks scratched, but it's not. It's just super shiny. So what I did is I took a microfiber with a little bit of soap, and I removed the inner chrome right off the reflector. And if this was low beam, never do it. If this was high beam, never do it. This is just a bulb that flickers and comes on when you drive. And as you can see, so it was chrome, now it's black. And the reason I did it is just the contrast, because it's, as with the clear lens now, you're going to be looking at the headlight, you're going to see the black. So it's just one of those touches. You don't have to do it, but I'm just explaining it to you guys. You're going to see that black depth when you're looking through this guy here. Now, as far as the inner trim, so obviously I'm going to, once again, I'm going to wash this and clean it. Remember I told you guys in the video that the passenger side inner trim had a little bit of peeling. So I peeled all the loose stuff off, but you can see it's cracked here, and I'm still up in the air as far as what I'm going to do with this, if I'm going to repaint it. And if you repaint them, once again, it's all torque. So you can take this lens out, you can take the trim rings, which are chrome, out, and some people paint them different colors. I'm going to leave them chrome. I'm not even going to touch them, but you obviously have to take all this stuff off if you're going to paint it. So I don't know. I'm going to have to sleep on it and see what I'm going to do. Either leave it be or paint it, because even if I paint the whole thing, you're still going to see this imperfection, because the only true way of, I guess, fixing it is you would have to fill this cavity in with either filler or some sort, and then sand it and then repaint it. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not really sure. If you guys go to my Instagram, you will see a picture that I took. So if you guys are in the market, or if you guys are planning on doing this yourself, I would recommend buying a kit that has obviously your driver's side / passenger side headlight lenses, plus the outer seal. So not this seal, we're not talking about this seal. I'll show you guys the product that I bought, which is the same product that was used here, but to reseal the lens. But it goes over the headlight, and it just basically covers everything. And it's a trim that you do see a little bit when everything is reassembled. It's basically a little black rubber. If you don't buy the complete kit, meaning the two lenses and two seal kits, well, trust me, when I took this off, the OEM kit, well, just crumbled in my hands into a million pieces. So obviously it's weathered. It's been through heat cycles, and you definitely need it. So spend the extra money. I think it's 120 bucks for on eBay or wherever you want to get them from, and it basically covers the entire outer bezel of the headlight, and snaps over the lens, and kind of just keeps it. Basically, it's a gasket in between your front bumper, your fender, your hood, and it just completes the headlight. So get the whole kit. Get the outer housings and get the gasket, and you'll be all set. Because trust me, when you take this apart, unless it's been replaced or it's a 2013, even a 2013, you're getting up there in age. So you're gonna need that, because they will crumble and they will break or crack, and then you're gonna have to buy them anyway. And it's cheaper to buy them as a kit versus separate. So that's that. So like I said, only modification that I did is the black housing there. That's up to you guys. I would never recommend it on any other application, because it will take away from the light output. But since this is just a turn signal / daytime running light, and you're not touching your low beam or the high beam, it's a go in my mind, making it black and just adding that special touch. We will figure out what I'm going to do with this inner housing once I clean out all of this epoxy out, and I'll kind of overlay everything and see how it all looks. If it looks decent, I'm probably just going to leave it, because like I said, this is a problem. Because for me to get another one, they don't sell just the inner bezel. You have to buy a headlight, a used headlight, and those used headlights are $400, $300, and it's pretty hard to actually find a black when most of them are red, yellow, blue, whatever. And like I said, if I just paint over it, I can spray over it, but you're going to see that same imperfection. It's going to be less visible, but it's still going to be there. If I fill it, if I start to sand on it, it's just going to, I think it's going to turn into a bigger mess. So I might just clean it up as best as I can, and then leave it as, just wash it and leave it as is, and see how it looks when I reassemble everything without putting epoxy in, and then we'll just make up our mind there. So that's something to look forward to in the next video. That's about it. So passenger side headlight taking apart, modified. We got the inner bezel in. My outer clear lenses and gaskets are in the basement. So the next step will be to clean out, like I said, this channel. Once I clean that out, we're going to test fit everything, see how it all looks. If it all looks good, we're going to reassemble it. And what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to use, a lot of guys will use clamps. I'm not going to use clamps. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to seat everything, and I'm going to put I'm going to put a towel over this. Obviously, I'm going to put a sandbag over it. And it's going to apply enough pressure, trust me, to put enough pressure over the brand new outer lens housing, and then get everything seated. Like I said, it worked for me in the past. One of the things is, if you guys are interested in doing this project, or if you're interested in me doing this project for you, we can definitely get together and do it. I know that there's certain people on eBay that do it for about $400, $300. Some do it for $700. I think if you ship me the headlights and the kit, I can probably do it for a couple $100 with shipping. If you just ship me your headlights, I mean, the kit is usually right around $120, $130. So you'll be looking at still about $330 for the whole kit. Trust me, this is not a beginner's project, just because you got to take certain steps. Like I said, with these screws, they're rarely mentioned in any of the articles or videos, but you got to remove those before you start prying on things, because you're going to break the inner bezel, and once you break that, you might as well just start buying a used headlight or a new headlight, and then it's going to, then you're going to start getting super expensive. So that's that. The next video that I'm going to put up is of this headlight assembled on the vehicle. Then we're going to obviously do the outer tie rod. I am not going to do the brake calipers just yet. I'll have to take the wheels off one by one, because it's way too cold. So next video, we're gonna put this bad boy together, put it on the car. I'm gonna show you how they compare a replaced lens versus a OEM original headlight lens, and we'll move on to the driver's side. Once again, check me out on Last Corvette on Instagram. I post pictures, videos, and just keep you guys up to date. All right, we'll see you guys later.